Welcome back to the wedding show. I promised you Andy Karsh from Karsh's Catering, and he's here with us in studio. Andy, welcome.
Thanks, Hope. Good to be here.
It's good to have you here. Of course, Andy and I have known each other for many, many years, since childhood. And I remember when your family had Karsh's Bakery, but you've taken this to a completely different level now, because it's not the bakery part anymore. It's an entire catering business, which is very impressive because you've built a great success in that business. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Karsh's Catering?
Well, thanks, Hope. Well, he says there's actually very little of the bakery in there. I didn't get the baking gene. Yes, I can bake, but I prefer to cook instead. I look at more of baking as a science and cooking more of an art form, and I prefer that more. I like to be able to change things if I need to as I'm cooking or in baking. Once it's done, and that's it. But Karsh's Catering, we're in our 25th year now.
Congratulations to you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and going strong. Business is really starting to pick up again. Especially after the pandemic. We took a little 2-year vacation there. And but business has picked up and we're going strong. We finished off last year really well, and this year we'll do much better as well.
Well, what's great is that you have collaborated in sorts with the Lincoln Pub, correct?
Well,
you're working out of there, and there's some collaboration going on, correct?
Well, I'm also one of the owners of the Lincoln Pub and Grub in the Tower District, and so I run my catering company. It's my commissary for my catering company. But the nice thing about it now is we also have bar service as well.
That's fabulous.
Yes. We've become not just a food caterer, but we also are a bar catering company as well. We have to run them separately because of the license, but we can certainly take care of your needs that way, as well as lots of other things.
So as people move toward the big day, one of the things that we have discussed too, and we talked about in our other show about having a wedding officiant, you need to make sure that the date's available. And the same falls in line with caterers, because that's a big part of the process, is making sure how much leeway time do you need. Like if somebody comes to you and says, hey, we're thinking about getting married in the next 3 months, that might be a short time. Like, what would you say is a good length of time for somebody to get in touch with you?
Well, I have people that start 8 to 12 months ahead of time. I also have people that call me 2 years ahead of time.
Wow.
And I do have people that call me 3 months or a month or 2 weeks ahead of time. And if I have the date available, I can certainly put things together very quickly. Like I said, I've had my company now for 25 years. I worked in the catering business before that for other caterers as well. So, I tell my clients I can do as much or as little as they want me to. And what I mean by that, I can just cook food, drop it off, and walk away. Or we can do your tables, chairs, linens, china, glassware, all that. I don't do centerpieces or lots of decoration. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. But as far as getting all your essentials, I have serving staff. We can do buffet. We can do sit down. We're a full service caterer. Lots of different cuisine. When you go to my website, there's 2 places I tell people to look when you're looking for menus. One says sample menus. On that page, you will see sample menus. It'll give you an idea of how to create your own menu. Because then, what I like my clients to do when they're ordering the food is go to where it says plan a menu, and on that list it's an a la carte list of all kinds of appetizers, entrees, salads, hot vegetables, starches, breads, and you can just pick and choose what you want. So, like when I'm talking to a lot of my brides and grooms, I tell them, don't try to please everybody that's coming to your wedding.
That's that's good advice.
Yeah, pick out a meal that you like and you think most people will like. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't like something.
And there are also people who have dietary issues too. And so how do you address that?
Well, I mean, the biggest dietary issues we get now are either vegetarian, and then I have to ask the degree of vegetarian. Are they vegan? Or are they pescatarian? There's a lot of different things out there. Some people just, they'll eat, they just don't eat beef, but they'll eat fish and chicken.
Correct.
So I have to get to the root of what that is, or they do.
Sure.
And usually at a wedding, if there's, maybe 3 or 5 vegetarians, we'll make a separate entree just for them. But just one entree. I'm not going to make 3 different things to meet everybody's thing. We'll just figure out who the easy or what's the hardest thing to do, and then we'll work from there.
And that's so important, is that you're willing to customize, because it's, I think, for each couple that's coming into you, they want to put their own flair into their menu,
Right.
and that's important that you offer that. So what I'd like to do is take a look at some of your creativity, because one of the things, this is my personal favorite. This is the salmon with dill sauce, correct?
This is the whole poached salmon. And it has a cream cheese dill sauce. That's that white on top there. This is great for a brunch. It's salmon. It's just a whole salmon that's been poached, and then we decorate it and serve it with just some crackers, or it's just really good just on its own, as you know.
Sure, I do. And what I think is important too is not only are you talking about the wedding, but you do the bridal showers, or the bachelor parties or bachelorette parties, or whatever it is people want to do, no matter how large or small. Your catering company can do it, and that's important. Let's take a look at some of the other creative works of art you've made with your food. Tell us about what we have here.
This is kind of a antipasta tray. You've got some artichoke hearts that are in the middle, some cheese, some different olives and pickles, and there's also looks like some meat on there.
I think we have one that has some fruit and some cheeses and some stuffed mushrooms that are some of my favorite.
There it
right
is.
there. Oh, yes. Let's go back to that and take a look.
So here we have some brie and fruit. Looks like we have some blueberries and raspberries on that. Then the stuffed mushrooms are right above that tier, and some crackers above that. And if you go to the left there,
the next picture?
No,
Yes.
the same
to the
picture
left?
there. But
Okay.
then we have some goat cheese with some berries, and that back one there might be yalanchy. I can't really see.
Love yalanchy. They're so good.
And then when we do something like this, you can see there's also fruit around the table. We try to decorate it like that, rather than just having a blank table just sitting there with food on top of it.
So you use really nice. You garnish appropriately, which
it's edible garnish.
edible garnish. There you go.
The biggest thing people always
That's a
ask
good way of putting it.
People always ask if they can grab the fruit, and I always say, yeah, the more they eat, the less I have to clean up.
There you go. And you always have that extra little right in there. So one of the other things, the big hot item now people talk about are the charcuterie boards. And we were just discussing how it's really defined as meat, but it's truly now coming on as like a meat and cheese and dried fruit type tray, correct?
And don't forget the nuts.
And nuts. That's
Yeah.
it. Yes.
And some people are throwing vegetables on it, whether it be raw, grilled, roasted, marinated. It's all anything goes now on a charcuterie board.
Yes, it does.
Like.
It seems like it does. And it's great because people just kind of randomly go up, and it's just a very comfortable and casual type of thing. So I think that's great. Well, we are really fortunate because you're right down the street from the studio, so that's convenient for us because you brought some delicious, and I know these, some delicious samplings for us today. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you brought?
Well, let's start off here with our appetizer. And so what we have here is just some baguette and with an olive tapenade. And the red one is a sun-dried tomato pesto. And so normally you can see just in the center there, I would have the sun-dried tomato or the pesto or the olive tapenade in a bowl and the bread next to it, so that you could just come in and serve yourself. So that if I was to sit here and do these all day, by the time they get out to, if I'm serving 150 people, the bread might be soggy. So kind of like a chip and a dip type situation, but it just great, especially with some wine and some cheese. This is a great appetizer, and it's a light appetizer.
So what type of wine would you pair for something like this?
I mean, the olives are very strong, so is the sun-dried tomato. So it'll go really well with a red wine because you've got these really strong flavors. But still, even on a summery day with a nice Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, a nice crisp Chardonnay, it'll go well with either one.
Fabulous. Well, that's a great starter. Let's get to some of the main dishes right here. You brought one over. Can you tell us a little bit about this next wonderful, lovely dish?
All right. So here we have some pesto mashed potatoes, grilled chicken breast with just an herbs marinade. Then I did it's a flat iron steak. It's maybe not be one of the most popular steaks, but it's one of my favorite steaks.
And what makes it one of your favorites?
It has a lot of flavor in it. A lot of people always say, well, filet mignon is my favorite steak. Filet mignon is probably one of the steaks lower on my, my repertoire of what I like to eat. Because there's not a lot of flavor in a filet. You're going to get the flavor, hopefully whoever's cooking it seasoned it well, or wrapped it in bacon, or is serving it with some kind of sauce. But otherwise, filet is just a very tender piece of meat. Even if you overcook it, it still tends to be tender. But a filet, or the flat iron, is a very flavorful steak. A top sirloin is a very flavorful steak. So a lot of these cuts that aren't very well known are fantastic steaks and
it's
eat really well.
interesting that you paired the two together as well, because sometimes people want to have a little bit of each, and this way they can have that. They can have a little bit of the chicken.
So
and they can have
on
a
here,
bit of the steak.
you're getting about 3 to 4 ounces of each. So you're getting an 8-ounce portion of protein altogether. But we get a lot of people. They want to serve. The first thing they'll ask is, well, I want to offer steak or chicken. And so the question is, do you want steak and chicken on the same plate, or are you wanting people to have one or the other? And that's where it gets difficult. It puts the work on usually the bride's half, because really the groom isn't going to get involved in this one.
Okay.
But it's you have to, on your response cards, make sure everybody is picking out what they're eating.
Because how far ahead do you need to order the food? If you're having 150 people,
Right.
We're talking, 2 weeks in advance?
Right.
How far in advance?
Yeah, 14 days ahead of your event, I ask for a guarantee of your guest count. At that point, the number can still go up, but it can't go down, because I need a starting point. And usually when I order steaks or chicken, I usually have to order more than what I need, so I can easily add on. Or it's easily to get if I don't. I've had people change or add 10 people, at the 9th hour, and I'm scrambling, but I'm getting it done.
But he'll make it happen, and that's what's so great about Andy. And trust me, I know I've used Andy for events before, and you talk about flexibility and great work ethic. Andy has it hands down. Now, there's one other thing that you brought too, and this is a box lunch. Now, we typically would not see that, let's say, at maybe unless it's a casual wedding, but this might be something for a pre-event. Tell us a little bit about what we have here in
So
this
you can see
surprise.
this is our. I actually call this my executive box lunch. So this is how it comes. It's all self-contained. I'm actually doing a wedding of box lunches. They're going to be up in Yosemite.
What a great idea.
And so you can't do any cooking up there. And of course, if I have to cook it down here, I would prefer not to. I just would prefer not to do it because I don't want my food sitting around for hours before people eat it. So in here, we actually have a corned beef sandwich. There's some coleslaw. You get some type of a dessert. Here I have an oatmeal cookie with marshmallow cream inside, and then a piece of fruit.
That's wonderful. And again, that's, for a couple, like you said, that's getting married up in the mountains and you're not allowed to cook, what a great way to have something that's edible for everybody and easy to deal with on a special occasion like that.
And on their day, I actually have vegetarians that I have to deal with on that day. So they're getting actually a roasted vegetable sandwich.
Fabulous.
So, we can always take care of people when we have to. The other big thing would be like gluten. And I cook with very little gluten. If you're going to get gluten on mine, it's something normal that's going to have gluten in it, like bread or...
Do they need to note that? Does a couple need to tell you, I need to have gluten-free because there are people who have specific issues?
And if there are, if it's like one person, most menus, like here, there's no gluten on that plate that we brought today. None whatsoever. So it's really easy to do. Most people just think gluten's in all starches. It's not. It's in 5 or 7 different things, really. Potatoes and rice have no gluten.
Well, I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. One of the things that you've ventured out into is your food truck that you have that's where I should say mobile catering, if you will, because many couples like going up and just having people order. Is that something you're seeing a little bit more of, maybe not at a wedding, but maybe at a bachelor party, bachelorette, bridal shower type of a thing?
Well, even smaller events. We've used our food trailer. That's actually through the Lincoln, is the food trailer. We've done tacos. I've done sandwiches. I outfitted that so that I cook just about anything in it. But it's more for the person that wants their food hot and fresh, but really only wants a drop off. They don't want they don't need me to do any of the tables or chairs. They don't want to set up a buffet or anything. They just want someone to roll up, serve the food, and
roll out.
Roll on out.
Roll on
so,
out.
But being a caterer, we try to, we're ready with our food so that we can feed your guests as quickly as we can. We're a lot of food trucks. They're not caterers. You roll up and they're making everything individually for each person, which I'm still going to be doing that, but I'm going to have my food prepared so ready to serve 100 people.
That's wonderful.
In a reasonable amount of time.
I think that's great. Well, Andy, I'm going to do some sampling here, if that's okay. I'm going to go for one of my favorites, which is the olive tempeh. And I will tell you, spot on, everyone. I love it. I'll be finishing this after the show. Andy, you are an amazing caterer. We thank you so much for coming on the show today. I think that for couples who are getting married, you provide some wonderful options for them. How do they get in touch with you?
You can use the website, www.karshs.com, or you can call me direct, 559-906-CHEF. That's 906-2433. Or you can pop into the Lincoln. If I'm there, I'm always ready to talk.
And if not, they could just sit down and sample, have some food and have a beverage, right? Have a drink.
Yeah. A lot of the food that I serve at the Lincoln, I don't have on my menu for catering. Not to say that I couldn't, but I can only put so many things on the website. But there is a comment section on there that if it's not there and you want it, I just tell people ask for it. I go, I am an executive chef, and I've been, like I said, been at this for quite a while. So, just ask. You know what they say: if you don't ask, you don't know.
You don't know. And with that, we are going to bid you farewell and a happy Valentine's Day. Let's give them some hearts, Sandy. This is like my big thing for Happy Valentine's Day. There you go. And make it a great day, everybody. Thank you, and join us next week.